Good evening, and welcome to a meeting of the Chesapeake School Board. A printed agenda is available in the back of the room if you wish to follow the business items we'll be discussing this evening. Roll call, Dr. Smith.
Mr. Elijah Colon.
Here.
Ms. Malia Huddle. Here. Mr. Mike Lamonia.
Here.
Mr. John McCormick.
Here.
Mr. Norman Poole.
Here.
Mr. Daniel Stoller.
Here.
Mrs. Amanda Walker.
Here.
Mrs. Kim Scott, Vice Chair.
Here.
Mrs. Angie Swigert, Chair.
Here. The next item is the adoption of the agenda. Does the superintendent or any board member wish to add or delete an item from the agenda?
Thank you, Madam Chair. I have no amendments to add to the agenda, but we will need a closed session for required legal matters, real estate matters, personnel matters, and student matters this evening.
I'll entertain a motion for approval. Moved by Ms. Scott. Is there a second? Seconded by Mr. Colon. Is there any discussion? All those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye. All opposed? Dr. Smith.
Motion carries with all board members voting yes.
We will now go into the closed portion of our meeting. I'll ask Vice Chair Scott to read the language to take us into closed session.
Chair Swigert, I move that the board should convene in closed session pursuant to the Code of Virginia, Section 2.2-3711, subsections A1, A2, A3, A7, and A8 for discussion and consideration of personnel matters, including administrative appointments, student disciplinary matters, real estate matters to include the disposition of publicly held property, and consultation with legal counsel regarding actual and probable litigation.
Is there a second? Seconded by Mr. Lamonia. Is there any discussion? All those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye. All opposed? Dr. Smith.
Motion carries with all board members voting yes.
Before we move into closed session, and in accordance with Bylaw 2-33, we will need a motion to approve the remote participation of Sands Anderson attorney Nikki Chook, who will join us for the discussion in closed session. I'll entertain. Moved by Mr. Colon, I think. Is there a second? Seconded by Mr. Poole. Is there any discussion? All those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye. All opposed? Dr. Smith.
Motion carries with all board members voting yes.
We are now in closed session. Vice Chair Scott, would you please read the statement to bring us back into open session?
Yes, Chair Swigert, I move that the record shows that the only items discussed in the closed meeting were those specifically cited in the motion to convene into the closed meeting and those lawfully exempted from statutory meeting requirements.
Is there a second? Seconded by Mr. Poole. Is there any discussion? All those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye. All opposed? Dr. Smith.
Motion carries with all board members voting yes.
Dr. Cotton, do you have items resulting from closed session?
Yes, Madam Chair, thank you. I recommend that student number 1 be expelled as discussed.
I'll entertain a motion for approval. Moved by Ms. Scott. Is there a second? Seconded by Mr. Colon. Is there any discussion? All those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye. All opposed? Dr. Smith.
Motion carries with all board members voting yes.
Dr. Cotton, do you have any additional items?
Yes, thank you. The following administrative appointments are submitted for board approval. Ms. Danielle M. Henderson Jones from Associate Director of the Office of School Quality, Virginia Department of Education, to Director of Assessment and Accountability, School Administration Building, effective August 11th, 2025. Mrs. Dawn R. Moore from Coordinator of Safe Routes to School, School Administration Building, to Interim Supervisor of Health, Physical Education and Driver Education and Family Life at the School Administration Building, effective July 28th, 2025. Dr. Brooke S. Rudis from Assistant Director of Student Conduct and Support, School Administration Building, to Supervisor of Assessment, School Administration Building, effective July 15th, 2025.
I'll entertain a motion for approval. Moved by Ms. Huddle. Is there a second? Seconded by Mr. Poole. Is there any discussion? All those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye. All opposed? Dr. Smith.
Motion carries with all board members voting yes.
Dr. Cotton, do you have any additional items?
No, Madam Chair, thank you.
There being no additional items resulting from closed session, we will move on to the invocation and the Pledge of Allegiance. At this time, I'd call upon Reverend Dr. Tommy Smith from Divine Baptist Church to provide tonight's invocation. Afterward, I will ask Vice Chair Scott to lead us in the pledge. Please stand as you are able.
Let us pray.
Almighty God, creator of the universe, giver of every good gift and every perfect gift, thank you for your amazing grace. As we gather this evening, we pause and pray for the members of this school board and administrative body. We thank them for their faithful and dedicated service. And I humbly ask that you grant them wisdom, patience, and understanding to guide them during their decision-making. Unite them with a shared commitment to nurture, support, and empower every student. And may we remember that every decision affects lives and futures beyond this room. So grant each one with clarity of thought, unity of spirit, and strength to uphold the trust placed in their leadership. Continue to bless as only you can bless. And I seal this prayer in your holy and righteous name. Amen.
Thank you for joining us this evening, Dr. Smith, and providing the invocation. There being no items under awards and recognitions tonight, we will move on to the hearing of citizens. Dr. Smith, have any citizens requested time to speak this evening?
Yes, Madam Chair, we have 2 citizens requesting time to speak.
Thank you. During their allotted time, speakers should observe our rules of decorum and know that expressions of concerns and criticism on matters of school policy and operations is welcome. However, speakers must deliver their own remarks and may not play pre-recorded messages. I want to thank those speakers who have signed up to address the board this evening. As a reminder, you can do that in one of 2 ways. You can call the clerk's office before 12 noon the day of the meeting, or sign up to speak prior to the start of the meeting. All in-person requests to speak must be submitted to the deputy clerk 5 minutes prior to the published meeting start time. Each speaker will have 3 minutes to address the board. Once your allotted time is over, we ask that you promptly exit the podium, and we would ask that you refrain from any behavior that disrupts the meeting, including the use of profanity, applause, cheering, or jeering. Dr. Smith, please call the first speaker.
Yes, Madam Chair, it appears that speaker number 1 is a no-show, so I'd like to invite speaker number 2 to the podium. Please state your name and city of residence before you begin.
Vic Nichols, Chesapeake. Last week, I got a copy of the NEA's past resolution from their annual convention. They were private. I am asking that the school board investigate whether or not I am incorrect in this. I'm hoping that I am. Some of the adopted business items. To defend against Trump's embrace of fascism by using the term fascism in NEA materials to correctly characterize Donald Trump's programs and actions. To oppose any move to eliminate the U.S. Department of Ed as an illegal, anti-democratic, and racist attempt to destroy public education and privatize it in billionaires' interests. Defend birthright citizenship and oppose the attempt to revert to pre-civil rights movement legal concepts of states' rights in order to deny citizenship to the children of immigrants. Supporting students dissenting and organizing against Trump policies, supporting students organizing against ICE raids and deportations, and in response to Mahmoud v. Taylor, they will send out a Know Your Rights document and hold Speak Up, Speak Out LGBTQ+ conferences, support affiliates in states where legislative bodies have taken or are taking actions that silence educators, support the mass democratic movement against Trump's authoritarianism and violations of human rights, and not use, endorse, or publicize any materials from the ADL, which is an organization founded to fight anti-Semitism. I want to make sure that our teachers teach. They're doing their jobs. They do a great one, obviously, and I want to make sure that that is continuing. And for one other issue I'd like to clear up from my last time's speech, I find it hard to believe that people are not picked by political affiliation, because when you have a health committee that comes to a particular decision, and I'm specifically referring COVID, and I come to something different, and I'm not an MD, and it turns out I was right, and they are MDs, how did that happen? Think about it. Thank you.
This concludes our speakers for this evening.
Thank you for sharing your comments. Our practice is to receive information. However, we do not usually engage in dialogue, and that is our intent tonight. If appropriate and not already provided, someone from the superintendent's staff will evaluate your concern and provide a response. We will now consider the consent agenda. I'll entertain a motion for approval. Moved by Ms. Scott. Is there a second? Seconded by Mr. Lamonia. Is there any discussion? All those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye. All opposed? Dr. Smith.
Motion carries with all board members voting yes.
We will now move to the information agenda and the proposed revisions to school board policies and regulations. Dr. Smith?
Thank you very much, Chair Swigert. We have several recommended policy revisions to share with you tonight, and I am happy to introduce our Director of Planning, Policy, and Research, Dr. Fallon Graham, who has been working diligently with the Superintendent's Cabinet to prepare these drafts for your consideration. At this time, Dr. Graham will present an overview of those proposed revisions.
All right, good evening, Chair Swigert, Vice Chair Scott, and members of the board. Tonight, I will present to you our annual policy review. With close to 2,000 bills introduced to the Virginia General Assembly this year and over 1,000 of those bills passed, a number of changes will impact our policy manual. As subscribers to the Virginia School Boards Association's policy services, Chesapeake Public Schools has access to updates from the VSBA that provides guidance on recommended revisions. Tonight, we will be sharing several items for your consideration. The 2025 legislative session was a short session lasting 46 days. Although time was compressed, the legislature introduced close to 2,000 bills. Of these, 652 became law. Not all of them impacted education, but a number of them did. And our partnership with the VSBA Policy Services helps to notify which changes affect our policy manual. To keep our policy manual current, we review policies, but this does not mean that changes were made. Some policies have to be reviewed every year, sometimes every 2 years, and others every 5 years. We conducted an extensive review, and there are too many policies to list on this slide. However, we provided a comprehensive list for you, and it's also available to the public in board docs. But I do want to bring 3 to your attention. They are bylaws 230, 233, and then policy 518. And we had to review these and approve them annually so that we can be in compliance with their Virginia Freedom of Information Act. Occasionally, we have updates to policy that only changes the legal references. So on this slide, we have a list of policies that only required an update to the legal references to ensure alignment with the Code of Virginia. The items being presented to you on this slide are presented with proposed revisions. The majority of those revisions are in response to recent legislative changes from the Virginia General Assembly. It's important to note that we have to align our policies with these changes to maintain state compliance and to secure funding. I'll present the highlights of these proposed changes. However, complete versions of all items are included in board docs for your review. Revisions to Policy 307 come as a result of amendments to the Code of Virginia. It adds provisions that seek to increase safety in school buildings through the training of staff on AEDs, procedures relating to procurement, placement, maintenance, and replacement of opioid antagonists in each school, and requirements including the development of a cardiac emergency response plan and bleeding control kits. Revisions to Policy 308 come as a result of amendments to the Code of Virginia, requiring that students' individualized education plans, or IEPs, include accommodations in the event of emergency situations or an evacuation. Revisions to Policy 319 come from our own review, and it's a need based on updating our organizational chart. Revisions to Policy 521 also come from our own review, and the need to clarify expectations of school visitors and procedures for scheduling meetings. Revisions to Policy 636 come as a result of amendments to the Code of Virginia, adding assurances that the CPS instructional program includes a component of internet safety, and that student data will be deleted from CPS devices before issuing that device to another person. Revisions to Policy 641 come as a result of amendments to the Code of Virginia, adding the protection of a foster parent's address from a student's parents by redacting the information before providing the parent any record that contains the foster parent's address. Revisions to Policy 802 come from our own review and the need to update terminology that matches our current practices. 802 will be relabeled as 801. This label is currently blank and serves as a placeholder. 802 will be applied to a new policy that I will introduce in just a few moments. Revisions to Policy 803 come from our own review and the need to update terminology that matches our current practices. Revisions to Policy 804 come from our own review and the need to update our grievance procedures for employees to better align with the Virginia Administrative Code state regulations. It distinguishes between two types of grievances, those related to the dismissal of teaching personnel and then all other formal grievances. Revisions to Policy 810 come as a result of our own review. Specific information was added to Policy 810 that relates to general qualifications, licensure requirements, health certificates, and background checks. Revisions to Policy 859 come from our own review. The change is very simple and just revises language to make it universally applicable. Revisions to Policy 945.1 come as a result of amendments to the Code of Virginia, providing specifications regarding the maintenance and storage of naloxone and protections for employees who administer naloxone in good faith to an individual who is believed to be experiencing a life-threatening overdose. Revisions to Policy 957 come as a result of amendments to the Code of Virginia and our own review. To begin, we reorganized the policy manual by merging together Policy 925 regarding the administration of epinephrine with Policy 957, which is related to administering albuterol. We retitled the policy to Rescue Medication Administration. Any changes that were made were done to ensure the terminology could be applied to all rescue medications rather than specific language for epinephrine or albuterol. And then we added a section for seizure management. We also will introduce 3 new policies while retiring 4 outdated or redundant policies. The new policies are in response to recent legislative changes from the Virginia General Assembly. I will present the highlights of the new policies and provide reasons for retiring the other policies. New Policy 610 comes as a result of amendments from the Code of Virginia. It requires that school divisions have a policy outlining their practices related to enrolling students in advanced mathematics courses. New Policy 802 comes from our own review. This policy provides clear expectations related to professional behavior and dress. New Policy 934 comes as a result of our own review. The policy establishes guidelines that protect the health and safety of all athletes, actually all of our students, during times of extreme heat and humidity. Before I conclude, I'd like to bring to your attention that revisions were also made to regulations. And as you're aware, regulations don't require action from the board, but they are provided for your reference. The regulation revisions are provided in board docs for your reference. Do you have any questions?
I don't believe I see any questions at this time. I know it's a lot of information to digest, and we may have questions at the next meeting once we have a chance to dive into all of the details. So thank you, Dr. Graham.
Thank you.
Next on the action agenda is the Legislative Advocacy Conference. Dr. Smith?
Thank you, Chair Swigert. I have an opportunity to share with the board. The Virginia School Boards Association is hosting their annual Legislative Advocacy Conference. It's in September 19th at the Chesterfield Career and Technical Center. If any board member wishes to attend this conference, if you would please raise your hand. Okay, seeing none at this time, that concludes my item.
Thank you, Dr. Smith. We will now move on to the superintendent's report. Dr. Cotton?
Just one brief reminder to the community, we will not have another board meeting in July. Our next board meeting will be scheduled for August 11th. That will be our next regular board meeting. No spotlight this evening. That's all I have. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Well, last on our agenda this evening is board member items. Does any board member have an item to bring before the group? Seeing none, I certainly want to wish Ms. Walker a very happy birthday, celebrating, I believe, tomorrow. We hope that you have a wonderful week. And with that, I will call this meeting adjourned.